From 1933 to today, this giant gorilla has gone from being a tragic monster to an ancient warrior throwing punches the size of a truck. He's fought dinosaurs, robots, humans, and even Godzilla in a brawl straight out of WWE Titan Edition. But how did he go from being a fuzzy stop-motion puppet to a CGI legend powered by motion capture? In this video, I'll show you how King Kong has evolved over the years. From his very first black and white appearance to becoming the alpha protector of the MonsterVerse. King Kong, 1933, it all started with a crazy idea. A giant gorilla kidnapping an actress and climbing a skyscraper to fight airplanes. That's how King Kong was born. In 1933, director Marion C. Cooper and producer Ernest B. Schoedsack changed cinema forever. Before King Kong, audiences had never seen anything like it. How did they make a 50-foot ape wrestle dinosaurs and rampage through New York City? With pure creativity. They used stop-motion animation, frame by frame, with wire skeleton puppets covered in latex and rabbit fur. Miniature sets were all handcrafted, and even the backgrounds were painted. The Empire State Building scene combined miniatures, rear projection, and even a giant robotic hand to grab the actress. Kong wasn't just a monster, he was a walking tragedy. He didn't speak, but his expressions said it all. He suffered, he got angry, he fell in love. He was one of the very first movie creatures to show real emotions. Audiences in 1933 were stunned. Kong was terrifying, but also heartbreaking. That version not only defined generations, it created a whole new film genre. Son of Kong, 1933. Yes, that very same year they released a direct sequel because the first film was such a massive hit that RKO Pictures wasted no time. This time, Carl Denham, the producer who brought Kong to New York, returns to Skull Island seeking redemption and treasure. There he finds a smaller, albino Kong, who's much friendlier and more playful than his father. Son of Kong was rushed into production with a smaller budget and released just 9 months after the original. Unlike the tragic tone of the first film, this one was lighter, almost comedic. Baby Kong dies heroically, saving Denham as the island sinks, leaving behind a message of redemption. Was it as epic as the original? Not really, but it was the first time the idea appeared that Kong wasn't the only one of his kind. King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1962. Now, let's jump across the world. Years later, in Japan, Toho Studios, the creators of Godzilla said, "What if we bring King Kong and make him fight our favorite radioactive lizard?" And so, King Kong vs. Godzilla was born, one of the wildest and most successful ideas in kaiju film history. Here there was no stop motion, no tragic drama, just pure monster mayhem. Kong wasn't 50 feet tall anymore. Now he stood over 150 feet to match Godzilla. He was played by an actor in a heavy rubber suit that weighed over 90 pounds. The fights were so physical, they looked like pro wrestling for giants. And the craziest part? Kong wins. Well, kind of. In the Japanese version, Kong walks away victorious, but in international cuts, the ending is left more ambiguous. Either way, this was Japan's biggest crossover hit for decades. Audiences lined up around the block to see the two monsters duke it out. Plus, Toho reimagined Kong as a strange sort of hero, almost an anti-hero with new abilities. King Kong Escapes, 1967, Toho wasn't done experimenting. They brought Kong back in a story that feels like it came straight out of a Saturday morning cartoon. An evil scientist named Doctor, who builds a giant robot called Mechani-Kong to dig for a powerful new mineral. But when the robot fails, he tries to capture the real Kong to finish the job. Of course, Kong escapes and ends up fighting his robotic double. Mechani-Kong was so popular that it later inspired Mecha-Godzilla. This time, Kong is more of a hero, protecting a girl and stopping the villain. Comic book style. Even though the effects were limited, the costumes were creative and expressive for their time. King Kong, 1976. After decades of silence, Hollywood decided to revive Kong with full 70s flair, starring Jeff Bridges and Jessica Lange. This was a modern remake of the 1933 classic. But instead of filmmakers, it's an oil company searching Skull Island for resources. What they find is a more human-like, hairy Kong who falls in love with Dwan, the blonde played by Lange. The ending was tragic again, but this time Kong climbs the World Trade Center instead of the Empire State Building. They even built a giant 40-foot animatronic Kong that cost over $1 million, but it barely worked, so most scenes used a man in a suit, Godzilla style. The film actually won an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects at the time. King Kong Lives, 1986. After the 1976 remake, no one expected a sequel, but surprise, 10 years later, Kong came back, literally. The movie starts with Kong in a coma, kept alive by machines after surviving the fall from the Twin Towers. He's been out for 10 years, until scientists give him an artificial giant heart. But here's the twist. They give him a blood transfusion from a newly discovered female, Lady Kong. And boom, romance begins. Kong wakes up, sees Lady Kong, and the big gorilla is in love again. This film wasn't CGI. Everything was practical effects. Huge suits, animatronics, and a 40-foot Kong that required 5 puppeteers just to move his face. Lady Kong was even trickier because she had to blink, show affection, and have softer features. It was a real technical challenge, though sometimes it came off a bit silly on screen. King Kong, 2005. Now we're talking epic. After the success of The Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson said, "Time to fulfill my childhood dream." And oh boy, did he deliver. This remake wasn't just a modern version of the 1933 classic. It was a love letter to cinema, to movie monsters, and to pure emotion. What's the story? An expedition travels to Skull Island, finds Kong, captures him, and takes him to New York. But this time, the film takes its time. The first act builds the characters. The second act is full of chaos. Dinosaurs, giant insects, non-stop action. The third act, pure emotion and tragedy. Here, we reach the next level. Kong was fully CGI, but not by just any studio. They used motion capture from Andy Serkis, the same actor who played Gollum. And the result? Every expression was real, performed. Kong wasn't just a growling ape. He had sadness in his eyes, tenderness in his gestures, and even a hint of sarcasm. A brutal remake, emotional, visually stunning, and with a Kong that broke our hearts. Kong, Skull Island, 2017. Here's where everything changes. We're no longer looking at Kong as a tragic or romantic figure. This is Kong the warrior, the alpha, the protector of an island filled with things even Lovecraft couldn't dream up. The setup. During the Vietnam War, a team of scientists and soldiers arrives on Skull Island, but they have no idea what awaits them. House-sized spiders, 60-foot water buffalo, and a Kong who throws a palm tree like a spear to take down a helicopter. Yeah, he's that savage. This Kong was the biggest yet, over 100 feet tall, fully CGI, but with tons of details based on real gorillas. His design came from Industrial Light and Magic, the same wizards behind Star Wars and Jurassic World. This Kong is young, strong, agile, and brutal. Not a monster, he's a god to the island. The director wanted the film to feel like a mix between Apocalypse Now and Godzilla. Kong doesn't fall in love, doesn't get captured, doesn't go to New York. This Kong is untamed, and the post-credits scene revealed he wasn't alone. Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, and King Ghidorah exist in this universe. This was the official birth of the MonsterVerse. Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021. After years of building the MonsterVerse, we finally got what everyone wanted. Godzilla and Kong throwing down like WWE wrestlers the size of skyscrapers. The story? Godzilla has been mysteriously attacking, and Kong is taken from Skull Island to find him a new home. But what no one knew, these two share an ancient rivalry. They're both alpha titans, and the planet only has room for one. So, yes, they trade blows in the ocean, on aircraft carriers, and then in the neon-soaked streets of Hong Kong, lit up like a futuristic rave. This Kong isn't the same one from Skull Island. Decades have passed. He's now a full-grown adult, bigger, stronger, more rugged, with a beard on his chin and the look look of a veteran. And the most iconic part, he finds an axe made from one of Godzilla's dorsal plates, an ancient weapon powerful enough to block the atomic breath. This was Kong as a true ancestral warrior with his own weapon. The animation was a masterpiece. Every punch had weight. Every muscle movement and facial expression was detailed to perfection. They used advanced motion capture and muscle simulation, so even a 300-foot titan felt real. This was the ultimate battle. Kong showed he didn't need to win to be a hero. He earned respect, his weapon, and his place as a living legend. Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire, 2024. And now we arrive at the latest stage of his evolution. Kong is no longer just a monster. He's a leader, a king without a throne, until now. This story takes us deeper than ever before, to the Hollow Earth, the hidden world inside our planet, home to creatures older and more powerful than anything we've seen. Kong and Godzilla must put aside their rivalry and join forces against a new enemy, Scar King, a scarred, battle-hardened giant ape with trauma and a thirst for conquest. But here's the twist. Kong isn't alone anymore. He finds others of his kind and becomes their leader. He gains new armor and even a massive gauntlet that looks straight out of Avengers. Kong looks incredible here, with a reinforced arm, a wiser expression, and more agility than ever. Plus, he's not fighting alone. He takes in a younger version of his species, a companion named Zuko. Meanwhile, Godzilla unlocks a new Super Saiyan form, glowing magenta. Fans call it Pink Godzilla, his most powerful evolution yet. The battles in the Hollow Earth combine cutting-edge CGI with artistic designs inspired by comics and ancient civilizations. Kong has more emotional presence than ever, even showing moments of humor, frustration, and leadership. Kong isn't a lonely monster anymore. He's a leader, a protector, a true king. And together with Godzilla, they form the most powerful duo monster cinema has ever seen. From a black and white stop-motion puppet to a towering god battling creatures from other worlds, King Kong has evolved like few characters in film history. He's been tragic, tender, savage, romantic, and now an ancestral warrior wielding an axe. If you enjoyed this video on the evolution of King Kong, hit that like button, subscribe, and check out my channel for more evolution videos of legendary characters you're sure to love.